Hello everybody, how are you? This is Daryl, your English teacher for your Free Talking 1 class on Friday, October 16, 2009. And I'm going to go over the conversation in our workbook, page 3, on the unit for greetings, okay? And in the United States, they have many different ways of greeting. Like what we often laugh about in the class is we say, hey man, what's up? Nothing much. What's up with you? And then they say, hey, nothing much. What's up with you? Right? That's common in the USA. That's common. If you're talking to your friends, people around the same age as you, hey, you can do that. It's fun. It's a fun way to do it. But imagine if you're like Lee Myung-park, right? Lee Myung-park, president of Korea, and he's going to USA to meet Barack Obama and a lot of very important political people in the US, very important political people, right? And he goes to Barack Obama. He meets him, and he goes, "Hey, Barack, what's up?" Right? What's going to happen is that what's going to happen is that they're going to kind of laugh at it, and they're going to think it's a joke. That's not a formal way. A formal way would be like saying, "Hey, how are you? How are you?" But sometimes they make a joke about one president from Korea a long time ago. He came to USA and he met maybe George Bush, or maybe was it Clinton, maybe George Bush or Clinton, and he said, instead of saying, "How are you?" he said, "Who are you?" Right? And you won't say that, unless you don't know who the person is, right? So you say, "How are you?" Right? How are you? In England, they'll say, "How do you do?" How do you do? Right? In England, it's "How do you do?" And but in the United States, it's different, right? So here's some types of things you might want to say when you go to the USA, when you're meeting your friends or whatever. And some of these things are formal, and some of them are a little bit less informal. Okay, less informal, and and less formal. Okay, so what we have here is the first thing. We have an A here. We have, and I'm going to go over this here. We have here, "Hi Kate, how are you doing?" Alright, or they say in the Northeast, "How you doing? How you doing?" This is common where I live in the USA. They say, "How you doing?" Even older people say it, "Hey, how you doing?" And then the next thing would be, "Oh, fine, thanks. And you?" "Ah, not too bad," right? Not too bad, okay? "Do you like your new school?" "Oh, yes, I like it a lot." So that's one type of conversation you could have, right? That's a common thing if you're talking about school with your friend. And then we have another thing for conversation number 2. "Hi, Dave. How's it going? How's it going?" Now that's a little less formal, right? It's informal compared to the first one. The first one is formal. Conversation 2 is more informal, right? Not very informal, but just okay. Lee Myung-park could say, I don't think Lee Myung-park would say, "How's it going?" No. I think maybe Barack Obama would say that, but Lee Myung-park would probably say, "Hey, how are you doing?" That's the proper way to say it. Anyway, and so we have here, "Hi Dave, how's it going?" And then number 2 would be, "Okay, and you?" "Oh, great, thanks. Do you like the tennis club?" "Oh, yes, I like it a lot." Okay. Now let's look at number 1 and B. We have different things we have here. We have different things. But first we're going to go over some things that we possibly say. Before we go into number 1, we have "Great, thanks." So we say, "Oh, how are you?" And they say, "Oh, great, thanks." We could say that, right? And then we have, "Okay, how are you?" "Oh, okay." Or how are things? Hey, how are things? That's very common in the United States. How are things? Things could be anything. Oh, how is your house? How is your job? How is your family? Things, just things, anything, right? And then we say, oh, good, thanks. Oh, how are you? Good, thanks. And then they say, oh, not too bad. Not too bad. So that's sort of like saying, okay, it's like middle. From 1 to 10, the person is maybe a 5 or a 6, right? So not too bad, right? And then we have, hey, we have how's it going? How's it going? And then we have, of course, how are you doing? I like to say how you doing, because that's where I come from. I'm from the Northeast, so Northeastern people from like New York, Massachusetts, Boston, New York, places like that. They will say how you doing. It's just the same way of saying how are you or whatever, but that's how you doing. California, many people would say what's up, what's up. Like younger people would say that. Okay, and so we have different situations, like a situation, right? Instead of saying how are things, okay, how are things? We know that maybe our friend has a new computer, has a new car, has a new house, went to a new school, things like that. Went on vacation, many things like that. Has just joined the team, and you have to know how to adjust things, right? Make things more interesting, okay? So, what we say here for number 1 is, hi, how are you doing? Usually I say, how are you doing? That's what I say, because I come from the Northeast, right? Great, thanks. And you? Oh, great, thanks. Do you like your new computer? It's not too bad, so that means it's okay. He's happy with it. He's not saying it's bad. He's not saying, oh, it's horrible. He's just saying it's okay. From a scale from 1 to 10, it's maybe a 5, right? 5 or 6, right? So he's saying it's not too bad, right? And then number 2 is, this is a different situation. Your friend joined the school soccer team. And so it's like this. So we say, hey, I would say, that's how I'd start. Naturally, that's how I would start. Hey, or hi, how are you doing? Okay, thanks. And you? Good, thanks. Do you like your school soccer team? Oh, and he says, oh yes, I like it a lot. Right? I like it a lot. So he likes it a lot. So it's something he likes a lot. Okay? And then we have, your friend moved to a new house. So he's in a new house, right? Or even older people like my age, sometimes they buy a new house, right? So they might say, okay, so this is what they might say. So, hi, how are you doing? Oh, good, thanks. And you? Bad. Bad, thanks. Or you usually would say bad. Bad. Usually they wouldn't say thanks, but over here we have bad, thanks. Do you like your new house? Right, you would usually say bad. Bad, how's your new house? Because usually if things are bad for somebody, they don't really want to tell people, right? Usually. But they would usually say if things are bad, they would usually say bad or not too good, terrible, horrible. I lost my job. Oh, my father died. My mother died. My son is sick. Things like that. So, what you have to remember here is that, usually you wouldn't want to